Hi and welcome to lesson 13 in this series in which I'm looking at getting started with OpenInsight 10. This video should have been quick and easy, but boy, number 13, unlucky for some, this is the fifth take to produce this video. Everything is going wrong that could go wrong, and it should be really quick and easy. It's quick and easy because we're going to be looking at adding a script behind these three buttons, the cut, copy and paste button. Should have been a doddle. So just to do a little bit of background, I have enabled this text button, and I've also created a test form. Now this test form is just simply two edit lines so we can cut, copy and paste between. So I've just added two edit lines on there, no database association or anything, and just saved that as MP test, overwriting what was there. You might not have anything. Enabled that button so that we can test run the form and we can bring in that window just to play around with. So that's some of the background work that I've done to lead up to this particular lesson. So let's get into the lesson. What we want to do is, these buttons are currently disabled. You'd normally have them disabled at this point in your application because there are no data entry forms on the window, and you wouldn't necessarily enable these buttons until either you got a form displayed or you had got text in some controls that you could copy, or some people will actually enable them when text is being selected. So there's all different different times when you would enable them, and other people will just have them enabled all the time. It's entirely up to you. So for the moment, just select them, which is again Shift and click the button and change the enabled property to true, and that's just for testing purposes. We'll then select the cut button, and over on our properties panel we'll select the events button, and again as before we're going to choose the click event, and this time instead of setting a quick event we're now going to set a script event. Now you don't want to sit here and watch me type, especially with the way that my fingers are today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste in some code into here. And I'll just format this a little bit better than it was. And we go now I have some sort of rules when I am writing my code in. So what I tend to do is I have my declarations at the top. I then have some descriptive text because I've got brain like a sieve and I can never remember what I'm doing. So in this instance we're going to copy the selected text to the Windows clipboard. I don't think I really need to have and copy it to. So copy the selected text to the Windows clipboard, and then because we have something to paste, enable the paste button. So remember, our paste button would normally be disabled. I usually have for my comments a asterisk and then two slashes, which brings it in a space, which then brings it over 4 places, because I normally indent my code 4 spaces, so that happens to work. Now in OpenInsight 9 and prior you would have had to have declared your set properties and get properties and bits and pieces like that. I believe in OI 10 we can actually comment that out and get rid of it because it's a little bit more intelligent, and this is yet another way of saving code that you need to write. This isn't true in all cases, but I'm just going to try this and see if this one works. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a I think it's a variable. Forgive me, I'm not a coder, so if I get the wrong terminology here you're going to need to work with me, but I think we're setting a variable called prev control because we want to find out which is the previous control. So it's a get property of the system, and we want the control with the previous focus. We then do the status, which is send message to the previous control cut, which is saying go to the previous control and cut the text that's in there or that we've got selected. And then set property, we're going to enable our button so that we can actually paste it in. So when we're happy with that, we'll do a compile, and at the bottom here we need to make sure that the compilation works. a compilation has actually failed. And it's failed because the set property has not been dimensioned or declared, blah, 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 which means I need to have it declared. So we will now compile. And this time it compiles. So I did actually know that was going to do that by commenting that out. Truthfully, I did. You're going to have to believe me. But I wanted to show how important it is to watch the output window at the bottom so that you know that things have compiled properly. And it's really nice to do that. So if we do a save and close now, and we'll do the same on the copy. So we go across to events, click. We'll come up to here to turn the event on. Now I need to grab my copy code. So Control C and Control V. And because I am me and I like things to be just so, I'm going to do my spacing, and we'll just bring the return 1 down to the end there, get rid of that. And so on this instance we're going to copy the selected text to the Windows clipboard. So instead of cutting, we're now copying, and the code is pretty much the same, except we're sending to the previous control the command copy. So it's going to copy the text rather than cutting the text. So if we do a compile on that one, it's compiled, and we do a save and close. And on the last one, for the paste, we'll go across to events. Forgive me, got an aeroplane flying over very low in the background. I have quite a few going over today. And for this one, we want the click event again. Event script, paste that in, and I can't tell you why. Maybe one of the guys will comment on this. I can't remember why I've put insert logical in, but I have. I obviously need that for something. It might be for the save warn actually. In this piece of code. Let me just format that properly. Again, you don't have to do this, it's just something that I do, and it's nice for when you get code that's indented so you can see where code blocks start and finish. So in this instance we're going to declare our subroutine again. We're going to do insert logical. So logical is like some stuff in OI, like a library or whatever, that we insert in that we can then call. So again, we're using system code all of the time, and we're going to do the same. We're going to paste the text from the Windows clipboard into the current prompt. So we need to get the current prompt that we're on, which again is using previous focus. So, and we need to send the message to that control paste, and we need to do previous control because we've clicked on the button. So the button is our current control, whereas the, let's say, an edit line was the previous control. And then I want to drop this down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then because the record has now changed, I want to do a save warn to remind the user to save their record, because if you make a change in an edit line, like you've changed a character, OpenInsight knows that you've made a change, and then if you try and close the window down without saving it, it will tell you, do you want to save? No code, does it all for you. OpenInsight does a whole load of stuff for you. In this instance, it doesn't do it for you because you are pasting that text in. It's not that aware, so you need to handle that yourself. So if we do a compile on that one and a save and close, then if we test run this form and we just make it a little bit smaller. If we then run our form here, and I put 1, 2, 3 into there, select the text and we hit cut, it's now sending the message to the MDI active, and it's telling it, or the previous control, and it's telling it to cut that text. And then if we click on the paste button, it will paste that text in. In the same way, we can copy that text and paste that into the control. And if I just clear that form, we've done all of that with the buttons, and we can also do the same on the menu. We can add cut, copy and paste. In fact, we probably will in a later video when we look at the menus. But interestingly, out of the box with no code, what I can do is I can select that text, right mouse click, and I have undo, cut, copy, paste, delete, etc. So I don't necessarily need these buttons on the toolbar. Personally, I like them because I'm not a great fan of the context menu. But within OpenInsight, for edit lines, by default, you've got cut, copy, and paste. So you don't actually need to do any of this work. When you're educating your users, you can just turn around and say, use the context menu. Again, saving you more work. But I like the buttons, so they're on there. Okay, so that's adding quick events on to buttons. We might want to look at the states of things, but the states of the buttons, whether they're enabled or disabled. But I'm not going to cover that one in this video. I want to keep it short and sweet. Before we go, I just want to show you another really useful little tip. If I come out of here, actually, we'll do it on this particular event. I want to show you the debugger in OpenInsight 10. So what we can do is we can come in here, and within a block of code, we can just enter debug. If we then compile, you'll see that we're compiled with a warning, and the warning is the fact there's a debug statement found, which we're okay with. So if we save that, we just leave the code open because we're going to need to change that back in a moment, and we will test run the form. And this time when we press the cut button, I guess it doesn't matter whether a window's open, we're going to drop to the OpenInsight debugger. And there's a lot of information in here, and I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail because, to be fair, I don't know how a lot of this works. But where I do find it useful is stepping through the code and seeing how the variables are assigned. So for the moment we're stepping through the code and we've hit line 6. So we've got prev control, get property, is currently unassigned. So if we were to do a step into, then you can see the previous control is now mp_mdi main_mdi client. And if we do a step into again for status, then that's absolutely fine. And if we do a step into again, then you can see the set property has gone. So it's not a great example here because we're only really setting the previous control. But if we were doing lots of set and get properties, it is great to step through and see the debugger. And we'll probably find as we're going through the video series that I will get code wrong. Things won't work the way that we expect them, and we'll put a debug in there, and we'll probably come back to this. But I just wanted to touch on it very, very quickly, that you've got your local variables, your call stack, and your source code that you can see and step through. The debugger in OpenInsight is really, really powerful. And there's also an ability to drill down and do all sorts of clever things in here. Anyway, that's it for this video. The next one, I think I'm going to be looking at how we can quickly find our entities in OpenInsight. So it'd be another quick video, but I'll see you in that one. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye-bye.